In a restaurant, professional Triad assassin Gon silently interacts with a little girl sitting across from him. He sees his target pass through the restaurant and follows. In a back room, a man named Yan Guk is making a deal with the Russian Mafia. Gon, with gun in hand, enters the room and, in a flurry, kills everyone in the room, reloading to finish off Yan Guk. Gon takes his laptop, but a sound behind the door makes him open fire. When he goes to check, Gon is shocked to see the little girl who had followed him collapse after getting shot. Gon's friend Chaos and his two Colombian colleagues Alvaro and Juan go to Gon's apartment to find him passed out drunk. They wake him, but Gon drunkenly attacks them, causing Alvaro to knock him out. They take Gon back to their Triad boss Ban, who scolds Gon for messing up the job and going ghost on him. Gon reminds him that was his last job, but Ban wants him to clean up the mess he caused. Turns out that Yan Guk had stolen a file containing Triad accounts and was selling it to the Russians. However, Yan Guk did not have the file and sent an email to 3 of his colleagues before he met with the Russians. Ban tells Gon his next target is one of the 3, named Choi, a risk manager and the mother of the girl he killed. Ban thinks he will be doing the mother a favor and threatens to kill Gon if he refuses to go to Korea and complete the hit. Gon loses his temper and stabs Alvaro in his hand with chopsticks. He then threatens to kill Ban if he breaks into his home again. Outside in the car, Chaos tries talking to a distant Gon, reminding him to stick to the plan and maybe he can get on the good side of the bosses once more. We then see Choi arriving at her job at an investment firm. Watching her and everyone else on the security cameras is their supervisor John Lee. John Lee contacts men at the airport picking up Gon, warning them to be careful of him. 2 men pick up Gon from the airport and bring him to a rundown apartment. Gon unpacks his gadgets, and one of the men, Bune, keeps chatting away, causing Gon to tell him to fuck off. Bune thinks Gon just insulted him like the genius he is, but Gon tells him to move his garlic breath. Hurt, Bune hands over a gun and car keys before leaving. We then see Choi finishing up a presentation at work. Afterwards, she visits the hospital to see her old senile mother. She then talks with her friend, a doctor, who gives Choi pills to help with her depression, asking her to go easy on them. Her friend then gives Choi advice on how to handle her ailing mother, telling her to take it slow. Just then, the elevator breaks down. Choi then sees Gon inside the elevator with her but does not recognize him. It turns out he has been following her all along to learn her routine. He gets back to his apartment and goes over photos he has been taking of her. A photo of her daughter is also there. Choi goes to meet with a cop, and it's revealed that Yan Guk is her husband and was involved in numerous financial crimes. Choi knows nothing about her husband's dealings and just wants his stuff back so she can move on with her life. The cop thinks she can help with uncovering her husband's dealings, but Choi cannot help them as she knows nothing. Gon waits until Choi has left home and breaks into her home, where he begins looking around. Choi is taking care of her mother when her mom claims to have seen her granddaughter in a dream. She was cold and begging for gloves, and afterwards, they went shopping. Hearing this makes Choi break down in tears, and she gathers herself in the bathroom. Meanwhile, Gon breaks into Choi's mother's room and clones Choi's SIM card, disappearing before she comes out. Inside his car, Gon activates the SIM and sees pictures of a happy Choi with her daughter. We then see Bune and 2 other men at the home of one of the targets, revealing that he does not have the files. Bune goes through his cell phone and sees where he called Choi. To get rid of the target, the men inject him with a concoction that makes him die a painful death. At a business award ceremony for Choi's company, Bune uses the latest target's cell phone to ring Choi but doesn't say anything. The award ceremony gets underway, and Choi is presented with an award. The crowd then requests the song she sung at last year's awards, and Choi begins to sing. Bune tells John Lee that Choi doesn't seem to know anything about the files, but John tells him to shut up as he is trying to hear Choi sing. Turns out Gon is also among the crowd, and he watches Choi sing with pity in his eyes. As she sings, Choi is flooded with memories of her daughter. Later, she sits in her car, listening to a voicemail of her daughter's voice and breaks down in tears. Gon is also listening to the voicemail and is overcome with guilt, knowing that he is responsible for taking her away. Choi is leaving her apartment and enters an elevator. Gon is following her, and he also enters the elevator with her. Soon, the elevator suffers a malfunction, and Choi calls for help on the intercom. Choi thinks it could be worse, and Gon tells her the pressure cylinder must be out of oil. He takes a seat on the elevator floor, introducing himself as Mark. He asks her if she wants to sit, but she feels the issue won't get fixed if she sits, so Gon stands. The two talk a while about the city when the elevator regains power. Gon tells her it was nice meeting her and quickly leaves. That night he prepares his weapon, listening to a recording of him and Choi's conversation. Choi collects her husband's items from the station. Among the items is a cell phone with a duck pendant. The duck's feet turn out to be a memory card, and Choi accesses the card to see a list of accounts but thinks nothing of it. The instant she logs in, John Lee gets an alert and orders his driver to get back to the office. He gets back to the office and sees Choi on the cameras, realizing the files were with her all along. Gon again breaks into Choi's apartment and uses her voice recording to open her safe. Inside are files, but a lone key catches his eye. It is the key to Choi's daughter's room, and he goes inside to look around. There, he gets a call from Bune confirming that Choi needs to be taken out and the files retrieved. Choi returns home and sees a package in her house. She calls the helper, who reveals it's a video of her daughter she couldn't bear to throw out. Choi loses her temper, as she wanted everything thrown out and burnt so she could move on, and goes to have a drink. Gon is still inside with gun ready, but he cannot bring himself to kill Choi, who is now watching the recording of her daughter singing the same song. Choi breaks down in tears, wailing loudly at the sight of her. Instead of killing her, Gon is watching a recording of Choi's daughter from a small projector. He has a flashback of the moment he took her life away and rushes downstairs to end Choi and his guilt, only to see her overdosed on pills. Meanwhile, the second target on the list is rushing to his car when he gets a phone call. Suddenly, a truck slams him into a wall. The driver comes out to ensure he is dead, and the man begs for help. The driver returns to the truck and drives into the car again, and Bune reports back to John Lee. Gon sits beside a passed-out Choi, recalling his rough childhood and his selfish mother who abandoned him. Gon then lets off shots and speeds away from the home. Gon does not kill Choi, who is brought to the hospital after neighbors reported hearing shots. John Lee is taking out his anger on Bune, worried that the Triads will kill him if he fails to recover the files. Meanwhile, Dai Ban meets with Chaos, telling him that despite Gon being his friend, he has become like a stray dog and needs to be put down. Choi's friend scolds her for her reckless behavior, and if she didn't mix her pills with vitamins, Choi would be dead. Choi is brought back to the station, where she meets with Detective Lee. He reveals that John Lee is actually involved in many criminal activities, including money laundering and trafficking, with his biggest investor being the Chinese Mafia. Her husband got a hold of John's accounts and traveled to America with their daughter to sell it to the Russian Mafia. However, he and their daughter were killed by an assassin. Her husband's other two co-workers were killed, meaning the file is still around, and they suspect that Choi knows. Choi tries to leave, but Park angrily demands that Choi help them find proof to stop Lee. Choi slaps him, as her daughter and husband are dead and she is still grieving. Choi then collapses from the stress and has to be rushed back to the hospital. Meanwhile, Chaos, Alvaro, and Juan arrive in the country to take care of business. They set up a weapons deal with some thugs, but Chaos shoots one man in the head and guns down the other to avoid paying. Choi is in the hospital when she gets a call from Gon, warning her that someone will be coming after her. Just then, the lights to the hospital all go out, and Gon tells Choi to run if she wants to live. Just then, an assassin, Osing, disguised as a doctor, enters Choi's room. She thinks he is the one who called, but a security guard enters the room, and Osing kills him. Choi locks herself inside the bathroom as Osing tries to force his way in, but Gon shows up and attacks him. The two fight, trading some swift strikes, but Gon manages to hold him in a headlock before kicking him out of the room. Gon goes after him but is held at gunpoint by a cop but quickly disarms him and leaves. Out on the street, Osing ditches his clothes. Gon grabs a spray can and lighter to create a makeshift bomb. Osing is the only one not to react to the explosion, and Gon chases after him but loses him inside a train station. Meanwhile, Choi hands the memory card over to Park. They are escorting her out of the hospital, unaware Osing has re-entered the hospital. He rushes to the parking lot where Choi and the cops are to emerge and stands ready with his gun. The elevator opens, but when Osing sees Choi, He does not kill her. He then sees something in the dark but is riddled with bullets by Gon, who tracked her down. He takes Ossing's cell phone, telling Bune that it's over. Chaos comes on the line to talk, but John grabs the cell phone away from him. He threatens Gon to return the drive to him, but Alvaro grabs John Lee. Chaos takes the cell phone, telling him to get ready as they are going to hunt him down. He then warns John Lee not to interrupt him again. John Lee also sends his own men to kill Choi. Park and his officer escort Choi to see a hacker who can gain access to John Lee's network and copy all his files, and they have Choi use her password to log in. Just outside, John Lee's gangsters pull up, but Gon is already there observing them. Outside, the gangsters brutally kill a cop keeping watch. One gangster has received the apartment number the cops are in, but Gon kills him and takes his cell phone. He calls Choi with the cell, warning her that men have arrived to take her out. Park takes the cell phone, demanding to know who this is, and Gon tells him the person whose phone rings in the room is a traitor. It is Park's subordinate, who suddenly shoots Park multiple times, dropping him. He takes the memory card, explaining that he will be wealthy once he hands the card over to John Lee. He leaves, and gangsters enter the room to finish off the job. Park's subordinate goes to meet with Bune to exchange the files for cash but is not pleased with the amount since his career is now over. Bune pretends to agree with him but suddenly stabs him multiple times and hands over the file to Lee, who demands that they finish the job. The men inside the apartment are suddenly ambushed by Gon, letting off shots. They try to fight back with their weapons, but Gon is too skilled, disarming one man and slicing everyone in a split second. He finds Choi huddled in a corner, but the room is suddenly ripped to shreds by bullets from Juan, who is on a roof nearby. One gangster tries to escape the room but gets hit with the force of a truck. It is Juan, who enters with a shotgun. He sees Choi, but Gon unloads before knocking him out with a flying knee. Gon is then hit by Chaos and has to take cover on the balcony. He calls Choi, telling her to escape to a black SUV outside while he distracts the shooters. Gon then tells Choi that he was present when her husband and daughter were killed and that she has to escape to know the truth. Choi asks his name, and Gon tells her. Gon then unloads on Chaos with Alvaro's modified shotgun, allowing him to make a run. Chaos and Juan close in on the building. Chaos corners Gon, and the two shoot at each other before Gon escapes into an apartment. Chaos goes after him, but Gon drops a grenade, blowing the apartment to shreds. Gon leaps from the building, but Chaos grabs him, demanding to know why Gon is betraying them. Gon tells him he is tired before falling and escaping under heavy gunfire. He calls Choi to meet him, but she is captured by a recovered Juan. Gon drives right into Juan, who unloads on the car, hitting Gon as he escapes the car. Gon hits him in the arm as he reloads and escapes before Juan can get to him. Gon gets a call from Chaos. He wants them to release Choi, but Chaos tells him to show up at her business place, or she dies. Gon tends to his wounds. He then calls the cops and sets off a bomb in his apartment. He then warns that another bomb is at John Lee's building, so the cops turn up and surround the building. Inside, Choi is being held with John Lee, Bune, and Chaos in the room. Choi demands to know why her daughter had to be killed in his mission to retrieve the file, but John Lee flips the script on her. He tells her husband was a weasel and coward who brought a kid to a criminal transaction. Choi is no better, as she refused to join her husband and daughter on their trip because she wanted money. Juan alerts them to the cops surrounding the building, and they begin to panic. Chaos sees news about an anonymous call about a bomb and suspects Gon is behind it. John Lee and Bune desperately try to destroy their files. Choi is locked inside a room, and she hears an alarm from behind the walls. She finds a button that opens up a hidden room where John Lee has been spying on his employees. There, she also sees the dead body of a worker. She takes the woman's cell phone and calls the cops, begging for help, but the cops outside activate a signal jammer, cutting all signals in the building. Chaos knows that Gon will be using this chance to come for them and orders everyone to gather to take him down. Juan then locks down the entire building. He gets into an elevator, and Gon is right above him. Chaos and Juan are waiting, suspecting that Gon is above him, and open fire, but Gon has already disappeared. The men go searching for him. Meanwhile, Choi uses the dead woman's keycard to escape from the room. She finds scissors and cuts her restraints. She hides just in time before Juan enters the room, but a gunshot from Alvaro draws his attention. Alvaro is trying to hit an elusive Gon, trying to coax him out into the open. Gon distracts him with a stereo, then steps out into the opening, mocking Alvaro for busting his hand and face. Alvaro drops his gun and charges at Gon, tackling him through a window. Gon unveils his grappling skills, pulling Alvaro into a headlock. Chaos and Juan burst into the room, guns blazing, ripping Alvaro to shreds while Gon escapes. Juan is pissed and swears revenge on Gon. He goes searching, following an injured Gon's blood trail. Choi makes her way to John Lee's office, logs into his computer, and deletes the accounts before he can send everything to himself. He is pissed as he just lost all the Triad's money, but Bune is worried about all his money being deleted as well. John Lee just tells him to get over it and goes to bail out his remaining cash, but Bune has had enough of John Lee and kills him. Meanwhile, Juan catches up with Gon, who is injured in a corner. Juan avoids an obvious trap, thinking he has cornered Gon, but is hit with an improvised microwave explosive. Gon takes a dying Juan's gun and prepares to face Chaos. Chaos demands to know why Gon is betraying the Triad for Choi. Gon responds with gunfire, and Gon is hit in the exchange. Gon manages to ambush Chaos, and the two begin to fight, but Gon is very weak. He gathers himself but cannot hold his own. He still pushes through, taking some heavy blows. He holds on to Chaos long enough for a monitor to fall onto Chaos, knocking him out. Gon recovers and picks up a gun. He stands over his friend but cannot bring himself to shoot and leaves. Meanwhile, Bune is looking for Choi, who is hiding. The cops outside turn off their jammer, causing her phone to ring and give her away. She tries to run, but Bune attacks her, throwing her around. He attacks her, angry about losing his money, and decides to take his payment from Choi in another way. He tries to have his way with her, but Choi reaches for his knife and stabs him in the back. Bune tries to stand, but the wound is too deep, and he dies. Bang, who had been watching everything on the cameras, slumps into the chair exhausted. A recovered Chaos radios to him, telling him they need to put an end to things and that he is going to kill Choi. Bang then radios to Choi, telling her that a man is coming to kill her. He tells her to pick up a nearby shotgun and kill the first man she sees. Choi is hesitant, not wanting to kill, but Gon tells her the man will come after her mother next. Gon tells her that the same man killed her daughter, and Choi gathers the courage to pick up the gun. The elevator opens, but it is gone, and Choi blasts him back. Chaos arrives on the scene and turns his gun on Choi out of anger, but Gon stops him. The two descend in the elevator. Choi calls for him on the radio, but Gon reaches for Chaos's hand and dies.